Welcome to this new lesson. In this lesson, we will develop the front-end code that will call our API. Now, this code will be generated with the help of ChatGPT. This code will need to form the messages value or list that is sent with the API request, which means that we need to provide a little bit more details for the ChatGPT to be able to formulate the correct messages list that it will send. So first of all, let's go and create the public folder. So I'll go and create public folder. Okay, now I will go to the app.js and add a new middleware. So here I am adding the new middleware. Now another thing I need to do, I will copy the logo because we will use it. So I'm copying it. That's it now inside the public folder. And I have the ChatGPT prompt document here. Okay, so you are an experienced web developer. You need to generate the front-end HTML and JavaScript for a web page that will call a JSON web API to chat with a GPT AI model, i.e. we are generating a clone of ChatGPT. You need to use a Bootstrap CSS library. You need to create one single HTML file that only contains HTML, vanilla JavaScript, and Bootstrap classes. The content of the page shall be included in a div with a container bootstrapped class. The container needs to have rounded corners. The background color of the page shall be light gray while the container shall be dark gray. You need to create a header that has a logo and that's the name of the logo file, and below it a title of the page. Both are centered. The page includes a form at the top to collect the system prompt and the user prompt, and also has a send and declare buttons. Both the system prompt and user prompt can be changed between calls. Okay, below the form there is a list of divs to display the history of the user input and the returned output content from the JSON API, putting the last at top. The user prompt starts with me : while the returned content starts with Chatbot : When the submit button is clicked on the form, a vanilla JavaScript code shall read the system prompt, pre-filled to this default. You reply as concisely as possible, and the user prompt inputs and call the following URL. Here is the URL which I just got from Postman, and pass the messages list which is described below in the body as a JSON object. Now we will start telling it about the messages object. So first we say the messages list has the following format. It is a JSON array of objects. The first object has a key of role with a value of system and a key of content with a value of the provided system prompt in the form. An entry of role system only appears just once at the top of the message list. This is just an extra hint. The following object in the messages list has a key of role and a value of user, and a key of content with the value of the provided user input from the form. When the API is returned, it has a JSON object with a key of content which shall update the display field. The application shall remember the user prompts and the returned content from previous API calls. Of course, this is very important because we need to maintain the history. Okay, the messages list for the subsequent calls shall include. This is a little bit complex, but I just wanted to provide as much information as possible. It is a JSON array of objects. The first object has a key of role and a value of system, and a key of content with the value of the provided system prompt in the form. An entry of role system only appears just once at the top of the messages. The user can modify the system role content between calls. Then the following object in the messages list has a key of role and a value of user, and a key of content with a value of the previously provided user prompt in the form. The following object in the message has a key of role with a value of assistance, and a key of content with a value of the previously returned content from the API. The following object in the messages list has a key of role with a value user, and a key of content with a value of the current provided user prompt from the form. For each of these subsequent calls, the user prompt and the returned content of all previous calls are added to the messages list. An example of messages list is this. I found this very useful when dealing with ChatGPT for programming, to give him samples of objects, of code, of whatever you want. Then during the API call, show a spinner and disable the fields on the form. In the history, make the background of the user entry dark and the background of the assistant entry light, just to for clarity. In the history, always add new items at the top. So I want the last item at the top. When the user clicks on enter inside user prompt field, the form shall submit. Of course, please include all code in one file called ChatGPT _clone.html. Okay, now I will copy this entire prompt. I will go to ChatGPT. I'm using the 3.5 version because I don't have a license for 4. Let me paste and then I will click to go. Okay, so here it is doing the code for us. For me, I have to do multiple updates for it to get the correct result, but we will see. If we have problems, we will ask follow-up questions. So let me copy this code and we will put it on ChatGPT _clone HTML. So we'll come here, we will create ChatGPT _clone.html. Is that written properly? Yes. Okay, I will put the code. Now I will go to the browser. I will try this call. So, okay. I think I have to stop and restart the server after creating the public folder. So I will stop this, because it doesn't have the change that we did to include the public and the middleware. Let's come here, let's refresh now. And as you can see, we are getting what looks good. So the system prompt, as you can see, you reply as concisely as possible. Here is the user prompt, and here we can see that it gave us the system prompt as the first history. Okay, let me ask, what is the capital of France? For example, I will send. Okay, it has this. Chatbot, what is the capital of France? Chatbot, it is Paris. What is its area? Again. So what is its area? Chatbot returned Paris. So that looks wrong. Let me look at the code. In fact, it is good to see these problems because we need to learn. So instead of looking at the code, I will tell the bot the problem. Okay, I'll go back to ChatGPT. The second response from the API was the same as the first response. although I asked a different question. Okay. Okay, so it is modifying the code. So it just added some new code. I will tell it, please regenerate the entire page. Please regenerate the entire page. So I'm waiting for the entire page to be regenerated. Okay, I'll copy the code. I'll go to Visual Studio Code. I will change it and save. Let me go and test again. I will refresh. Okay, so what is the capital of France? The answer is Paris. Now, what is its area? Okay, so the area is now correct. Let me do what is its population? Okay, so the chatbot, the population of Paris. So it seems it is knowing what it is doing. You reply, I will change the system role. You reply in French only. Where is it located? Is it located? It is in English, and here, as you can see, it has not been changed. So I will tell him that there is a problem here. I will tell him that if the user changes the system prompt, then that shall be considered in the messages list. Of course, considered. Usually, mistyping is not a problem for ChatGPT. I will put some more code. I expect the first object in the messaging list to always be updated with the user input. Okay, let's see what it will do now. So it's telling me that it understood the problem. It didn't generate the entire code, so I'll say please regenerate the entire page. Okay, I'll copy this code now. I'll paste it in the page and I will refresh the page. So let me come here, F5. Okay, what is the capital of France? Paris. What is its area? Approximately this. You reply just in French only. Okay, and now let's ask about the population. Okay, so that's the response. It is in French. I guess this is French. Let's say back to make it a reply on English only. On English only. And let's ask where is it located. Okay, so the response is now in English. So as you can see, guys, it did take some time, but it managed to make the application quickly. I think you can do such an application when you prepare the prompt, maybe half an hour to 1 hour, while I think if you need to program it completely, I think it will take a few hours. Of course, I noticed some issues. For example, the new stuff is being added at the bottom, although I wanted it to be added at the top. The spinner gone in one of the updates. The spinner is gone, but maybe this is not good to be the label at the center, or even all of this. It might not be suitable to be in the center. Maybe left aligned is better, but you got the idea, so you can modify it. Thank you, and talk to you in another lesson.